In the depths of Foster Falls State Park, there are beautiful waterfalls that cascade into pools from 60-foot cliffs. Lurking at the bottom of those pools are lost treasures that few people will ever find. See, visitors often lose things in the falls, and when those items sink down into the murky depths, they're usually lost forever. But when one adventurer set out in search of those missing objects, what he found instead sent chills down his spine. Rich Aloha was fresh off his 27th birthday when he set off for Foster Falls. See, Rich was an avid hiker and diver who loved filming his adventures. This trip, though, was going to be different. Back in 2009, Rich launched a YouTube channel for his adventures. He gained a following for his beautiful footage of places like Wekiva Springs State Park. He even brings his cat along for the ride. But in 2019, Rich wanted to try something a little different. He headed up to Chattanooga, Tennessee with some scuba gear to explore Foster Falls. It seemed like just another adventure at the time. A part of South Cumberland State Park, the 60-foot waterfalls are a popular destination for swimmers looking to cool off and snap a few pics. And because the pools are so deep, visitors lose things all the time. "I might be finding a drone or an iPhone, maybe a GoPro," Rich exclaimed at the beginning of his video. "And if I'm really lucky, I might even find some cash." With that, he took the plunge into the murky depths. Rich dove into the water near the fall. At first, the murky waters seemed to be devoid of any kind of treasure. But then Rich spotted something out of the corner of his eye. There was a small black and gold bracelet lying there among the rocks. Rich took his new prize and placed it on his wrist before moving forward. There was more treasure to be found. Next, Rich spotted a ring, maybe a wedding ring, before diving even further. After locating a pair of sunglasses and a discarded turtle shell, he saw something much more valuable. There, lying among the rocks at the bottom of the pool, was a camera. Excited, Rich snatched up the GoPro and returned to the surface, eager to see if there was any footage on it. "We'll review the footage and see if I can't get that back to the rightful owner," said Rich, closing out the video. But this is definitely one for the books. As Rich left Foster Falls, he ran into a park ranger who shared some interesting information with him. It seemed a man named Richard Ragland had drowned there 2 years earlier. Rich's heart sank. Was there any connection to the items he found and Richard Ragland's death? When he turned on the camera, he was dumbstruck. "I was going through the footage and, sure enough, I just said, 'Oh my God, this is the guy,'" he recalled. Slowly, Rich uncovered Richard Ragland's backstory. He had grown up in Georgia and later served in the National Guard. Later, he found his calling as an actor. Fate intervened on a road trip with some friends in 2017. Richard and his friends stopped at Foster Falls for a bit of exploring, and when they came across the falls, they had to stop for a swim. That's when Richard pulled out his camera and started filming. The situation quickly got worse. Richard was getting pulled beneath the surface and struggling to breathe. One of his friends tried to pull him up out of the water, but it was too late. They tried to revive Richard with CPR, but the effort was hopeless. Paramedics quickly showed up to take him to a nearby hospital, but once he had arrived, they pronounced him dead. So when Rich found the video of those final moments, he was heartbroken. Listening to some of Richard's last words, "You start to not take your life for granted and not allow people to manage your life," Richard said. "I didn't want anybody to manage my life." Troubled, Rich made a bold choice. He located Richard's parents to show them what he'd found. When they got the phone call, it must have brought some small comfort that they might finally have some answers into that unthinkable tragedy. The SD card was intact. All the footage was there. It was like an out-of-body experience, said Richard's mother. "What we've seen so far is Rich being Rich, living life to the fullest." Richard's mother was also grateful that Rich had sought them out. For him to go through the effort to do his research, make numerous phone calls, he didn't give up until he got in touch with us. And that means the world to us. Though it captured a tragedy, the footage of their son brought some closure to Richard's parents. They weren't sure if they wanted to watch it at first, but they knew revisiting the past was sometimes necessary to heal. The opportunity wouldn't have been possible without Rich Aloha. Then again, a stranger's camera can bring plenty of trouble.